The idea to upend the post-World War II economic order appeared in June of 2024. It started not in Washington or on Wall Street, but in Palm Beach, Florida. There, a new phrase was coined by former Credit Suisse strategist Zoltan Pozsar, the Mar-a-Lago Accord. Named after Donald Trump's private estate and evoking that historic reference to the Plaza Accord of 1985, this isn't just a catchphrase. This is designed as a blueprint. It is a controversial, high-stakes strategy that could reshape America's place in the global economy or backfire spectacularly and quite literally destroy what's left of the dollar's dominance. Back in 1985, leaders from the world's top economies met at the Plaza Hotel in New York and agreed to weaken the US dollar to help restore trade balance. And so that effort, known as the Plaza Accord, was coordinated, it was successful, but it was short-lived. Fast forward to 2024, Zoltan Pozsar revived the idea, replacing the New York hotel with Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort and central banks with Trump's political connections and influence. He imagined a new kind of accord, one where the United States demands a weaker dollar, lower interest payments from foreign holders of its debt, and more defense cost sharing from allies in exchange for continued U.S. protection. Now, not surprisingly, the idea gained very little traction, if any at all, until Stephen Myron, a strategist at Hudson Capital, picked it up. His November 2024 paper laid out a provocative framework, and when Myron became chairman of Trump's Council of Economic Advisors, the policy world took notice of this idea. At the heart of this plan is Trump's long-standing belief that the strong US dollar is the root of America's economic decline. It makes imports cheaper, exports harder to sell, and pushes manufacturing and jobs overseas. Add to that America's massive defense budget, supporting allies around the world and its military bases, and Trump sees a lopsided deal. The United States gets deficits and deindustrialization, says Trump, while others get security and trade surpluses. The Mar-a-Lago Accord proposes a solution to this issue. A, it proposes to weaken the dollar. B, it offers to disincentivize imports. C, it wants to force allies to pay up for U.S. protection. And D, it wants to extract lower returns from foreign holders of U.S. debt. If that sounds quite radical, it is, but parts of it are already underway. They are in motion. Tariffs are back. They are being used not just to raise revenue, but to quite literally twist arms, encouraging foreign firms to set up shop in the United States, to create U.S. jobs at their own domestic employment expense, and to avoid penalties that the Trump administration is willing to impose on them. You may recall I mentioned defense spending. Well, Europe is now ramping up its military budget in response to U.S. pressure and in response to Trump's threats to pull back from NATO. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte didn't really make a mistake when he said this.
In the schoolyard, you know, they fight like hell. You can't stop them. Let them fight for about 2-3 minutes. Then it's easy to stop them.
And then Daddy has to sometimes use strong language to
you have to use strong language every once in a while.
What about the dollar? Well, it is weakening, not because of any explicit deal like the Plaza Accord, but due to global investors reallocating away from American assets as they lose trust in the United States financial system and are increasingly presented with an array of new, safer, and diversified alternatives. But the Mar-a-Lago vision goes further. It proposes a financial maneuver almost unheard of, restructuring U.S. treasuries held by foreign governments. And that, to me, is the most interesting part of Trump's plan. That could mean taxing them, that could mean paying less interest, or converting them into ultra-long-term bonds, effectively giving countries a choice: accept worse returns or lose U.S. protection. But that too sounds like an ultimatum, and ultimatums simply don't work anymore. Why would anyone want to invest in U.S. treasuries and then be told to accept more risk and lower return? This is financial hardball, and it could come with dangerous consequences. A weaker dollar might help exporters, but it also raises inflation. Higher tariffs may boost domestic production, but they risk retaliation and higher costs for consumers. And what about messing with treasuries? That's like playing Jenga with the foundation of global finance. If foreign central banks dump US bonds or lose confidence, which is precisely what Mar-a-Lago Accord pushes them to do, interest rates could skyrocket, market volatility could explode, the dollar's status as the world's reserve currency could be a thing of the past faster than we even imagine now. This is something no US president has ever risked before. Then there is global coordination in the multipolar world. The world has changed. Unlike 1985, countries today have different priorities. China favors a weaker yuan, Japan wants currency stability, and Europe is focused on growth, not a stronger euro. There is no plaza-style consensus inside too, and without buy-in, any unilateral move by the United States risks global isolation. And I'm afraid that we're already on that path. Supporters of the Mar-a-Lago Accord say that it is time for bold moves, that decades of globalization hollowed out America's industrial base. Of course, they wouldn't really admit the truth about how America deindustrialized. That to them is not as important as creating the other, the enemy that we need to fight with, the enemy to rile up the masses against, and then get them to accept anything the Capitol Hill lobbyists pay for. Critics of the Mar-a-Lago Accord argue the opposite, that the plan invites chaos, pushes away our allies, and jeopardizes America's most important asset, trust in its financial system, which is already at one of its lowest points in recent history. Even the original Plaza Accord overshot its goals, sparking a dollar free fall and forcing a second deal, the Louvre Accord, just 2 years later. Today, markets are more complex, they're more interconnected. Will the United States lead a new economic order or stumble into a crisis of its own making? Let me know what you think in the comments below. The Mar-a-Lago Accord may not be official policy yet, but its ideas are alive and clearly in motion. If you found this breakdown helpful, hit the like button, subscribe for more content, follow me on Substack and Patreon. I would love to see you there. And let me know in the comments below what you think about these new ideas and whether you think they will benefit or harm the US dollar. I'll see you back here tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.